What is up, football fans, and welcome back to Play Action Takes, HOPELy's NFL podcast. Week 12 in the books. Crazy games. Thursday game was great. I know we didn't talk all the way about it because it was about to happen and we just didn't feel like talking about it. But we're going to get into Week 12, all the crazy things that happened. There was several OT games. There were several comeback games. Upset City this week in the NFL. But welcome to Play Action Takes, brought to you by Zing Zang, America's #1 Bloody Mary mix. We love Zing Zang over here. Zang responsibly all season long. And shout out to Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code PATNFL when you sign up. Play your first $5. Get $100 in bonus entries for using our promo code PATNFL. I'm your host, Stone Strankman, joined always by Kush Patel. How we doing, brother?
We're doing great, man. What a great week of football. Got a lot of games to get into. And then we've got Thanksgiving coming up.
We do. Thanksgiving episode is going to come out on Wednesday this week instead of a Friday episode. We're going to preview all the Thanksgiving games so you can get all that right before Thanksgiving, before all the family comes to town, whatever it may be. But we're excited to get into it today on Play Action Takes. Week 12 is in the books. We're going to start it right back. We're going to go rewind back to Thursday night. I know you didn't go to the game because you decided to hold off on the Kush curse. It's a real thing.
I did, and it worked. The Texans won the game on Thursday, a game that all the national pundits picked the Texans to lose. I'm pretty sure all across the board they picked the Bills, which, at the time, understandable, but, when they got on the field, it was a completely different story. The Texans defense was dominating. Their two edge rushers, Will Anderson Jr. and Daniil Hunter, just, they wrecked the game and they took over the game all game long. And this was one of those games where, with a quarterback like Josh Allen on the other side, you kind of expected him to put a drive together towards the end of the game or the end of the half or whatever it may be, but it was just one of those things that never happened. And we've been saying it on this podcast, since we started this thing. These Thursday games are wacky, man. You never know what's going to happen.
And somehow, some way, we're 12 weeks into the season, and we had some really good Monday night games. We've had some really good Sunday night games. I feel like Thursday night has been the best primetime spot across the board through 12 weeks.
Yeah, we had really competitive games on Thursday, I'll say that. And, they might not have been like high scoring, high octane offensive games. Some of them might have been like ugly defensive games where you didn't expect it. Where, the Broncos and Raiders a couple weeks ago was like a 14-7 game. It was not, the average casual NFL fan doesn't want to see that type of game. But, for the most part, these Thursday games have been really good.
Yeah, they've been phenomenal, but the Texans defense did something that I haven't seen in a long time against Josh Allen. Like, Josh Allen will struggle against certain teams and he'll have bad games here and there, but it's never looked like this where he's getting sacked 8 times and several turnovers and just everything under the sun went wrong for the Bills. And somehow they still had a chance to win it there at the end until he threw that pick. They're driving. They're pretty much in the red zone, if not already in the red zone. And he throws the pick at the end of the game. The pressure got to him. And yeah, shout out to the Texans defense. I thought the Battle Reds looked phenomenal, having all red from chrome top to red tops, red bottoms, red cleats, all of that. I thought that looked really good. I was skeptical of the new chromes and the Battle Red, but this one looks incredible. I thought they looked great on the field. I heard it was a completely packed house from Dom, our co-host on Clean Sheet of Ice, Texas Hockey Podcast. He said that was probably one of the loudest times he's heard NRG Stadium in any facet and any game, and that's including like Argentina coming to town for soccer and just some really big games that have happened there, playoff games. And he said that was the loudest that he's heard NRG, other than those other like 2 other instances at NRG that weren't Texans games. It's crazy.
Yeah, and just me watching from my TV, you could hear the crowd, especially on defense. We're on defense, and then shout out to NRG, shout out to Texans fans, because our city, our stadium is kind of known for sometimes they don't pack the house as much as they should. That sometimes they get there late or whatever the case may be. But shout out to Texans fans for showing up.
Yeah, and he said there weren't a ton of Bills fans, which he was surprised because I know that the Bills travel very well, especially to Miami. They kind of packed that house a few weeks ago. It was probably 50-50 split between Bills fans and Dolphins fans, and that's because the Dolphins stink, 1, and 2, Bills fans usually travel well. So credit to Texans fans for going to the game and being loud and being in the game for once this season. I thought that was incredible. And Davis Mills did just enough in the first half to get kind of skate by in the second half. I know it was like 16 of 30, 32. For the game, he had under 200 yards passing, and everyone's calling for CJ Stroud's job. Yeah, that's not the case. Davis Mills did enough to win that game on the offensive side of the ball, but the defense 100% was swarming in every shape and form. And Josh Allen, it was like Sam Darnold against the Patriots on that Monday Night Football game where he said he's seeing ghosts. I feel like that's where Josh Allen was on Thursday night.
Yeah, and you brought up the CJ Stroud and Davis Mills thing. Like I'm gonna put that stuff to bed right now. Like there's no controversy. CJ Stroud is your quarterback moving forward. CJ Stroud's your quarterback right now. And but I will say Davis Mills came in. He did a great job. This is a guy that was picked in the third round a couple years ago, when the Texans, were in tank mode. And yeah, he did a great job of running the offense. He didn't turn the ball over. I think his 3 games that he's played for the Texans so far this year, 6 touchdowns to 1 interception. So he's taking care of the ball. They have they've kind of trusted him to not carry the offense, but I think I've been surprised with the way that Nick Caley has kind of come out and passed the ball a little bit more on early downs rather than run the ball. But it's worked so far. He's 3-0. CJ Stroud most likely will be back, next Sunday against the Colts. So we're gonna put that all that stuff to bed right now.
Yeah.
There's no quarterback controversy. CJ Stroud's your quarterback.
Yeah, not at all. I think that's just Davis Mills did enough. He's backup, and that's kind of what he is, and he's a good backup at that. Like he's just fine at the end of the day, and that's kind of what you need with this defense is just something that'll be somewhat of a game manager and get you enough points to get your defense in a position to win the game because you're not going to win it really on offense. And I know Woody Marks had a decent game. He had 73 yards on the ground. I would have liked to see a little bit more because we've seen the Bills put up the biggest numbers on rushing attacks this season. They're not a good run defense. I would have liked to see a little bit more, especially in the second half, getting some things going. But at the end of the day, you get a win in the hunt, very much in the hunt. And we're going to get to it later. The division is still kind of alive for the Texans, which didn't think we'd be here 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, like we said a few weeks ago, the Texans aren't dead yet. And speaking of that division, the Jags aren't dead yet, and the Colts might be in trouble. But we'll get into that later.
They might be. But Thursday night was exceptional. Had a lot of fun with that one. Next game, well, more so a player. Shedeur Sanders. I know we didn't talk about him last episode. He got his first career start, and he's the first Cleveland Browns quarterback to have his first career start be a win out of the last 17 Browns players to start at quarterback, which is insane that they have that many, let alone all of them have lost their opening game as a starter. Shedeur Sanders, they played the Raiders, and the Raiders were horrific last week. They were horrific the weeks before that. They haven't been good since week 1. But at the end of the day, Shedeur did enough to win that game. He didn't look great, but he didn't look bad at the same time. And I thought it was pretty fun for him to get that first career start. But Myles Garrett is really the story there. He's at 18 sacks this season with, 6 more weeks to play? Like, it's insane. But Shedeur, credit to him. First career win. Dion was in the house with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson were there from All the Smoke, NBA players from our heyday. And I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, good for Shedeur. I've always rooted for him. It's kind of fun to just see a father-son duo in the NFL. We see that every once in a while. But for this one to be Dion, who's one of the best cornerbacks of all time, and have his son be a quarterback and starting in that situation, I think that's a little bit more cool than other father-son duos that we've seen in the past.
Yeah, and Shedeur, like we've been saying it, since we started this podcast, like the whole situation from the draft, from preseason, from the beginning of the regular season, and from the Dylan Gabriel stuff to now it's just been a roller coaster of craziness going on down there in Cleveland. But Shedeur finally gets his first start. I think he looked okay, but I think you kind of saw his talent on that deep pass. I forgot who the receiver was. Sue me if I don't know what, the players' names on the Cleveland Browns. But I believe he was number 16 or something like that. Just he put that ball on the rope, accurate ball, almost scored a touchdown, but he was just short of the goal line. And I think that um, going forward, he is going to start again this next week.
Yep.
So, we'll kind of see how it goes, but I liked what I saw from Shedeur Sanders. The Sanders haters will probably say that his lone touchdown was on a screen pass where the where the ball carrier just ran through that line, that abysmal defensive line from the Raiders. But yeah, he looked good and got that first win. And there's a lot of critics against Stefanski still, just about how he dealt with the whole thing previous to this. And we're like right after the game, I guess they asked him like, "Hey, like, is Shedeur Sanders your starting quarterback next week?" And he wouldn't commit. And then finally today came out that he is going to start next week.
Yeah, and I know Dex sent it in our Discord channels today for the NFL, and he's like, I never understood the whole Dylan Gabriel and how they've treated Shedeur and all that kind of stuff. It's like, at the end of the day, they did need multiple quarterbacks because Nasty Man number 4 was never going to play this season, and then you had Joe Flacco, and then you ended up trading him to a division rival with the Bengals, and it's just been a little chaotic. So you needed the 5 quarterbacks that you brought into training camp. You needed pretty much all 5 of them this season, which is crazy. Dylan Gabriel's hurt right now. I think it's concussion. So, but they've named Sheduer starter going into next week, and I think that's huge for him. And he's got all the confidence in the world to be a good quarterback. It's just whether his play actually performs up to that level, and I think confidence is a big key in that. And yeah, I understood why they drafted Dylan Gabriel over Shedeur at the time, because Shedeur had the whole draft process, and we don't have to go into that. But Dylan Gabriel was a good quarterback in college, and he played for a good team, 2 really good teams, Oklahoma and Oregon, like put up monster numbers, and he probably had a lot of traits that everyone was kind of looking at. He's just a little bit short, and he's from Hawaii, which isn't really a good recipe for success in quarterbacks in the NFL so far. But other than that, like I think Sheduer, if he just keeps this confidence going and he just kind of takes less stupid sacks where it's going to be an 8-yard sack, if he just takes it instead of just rolling around and trying to run away from the defenders, because you can't do that in the NFL. A lot of young quarterbacks do that. Instead of taking a 20-yard sack, you take the 7-yard sack and just eat your medicine. But he'll learn. He'll get better. And I think it's cool. Shedeur Sanders starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Not a place I would want to start, but hey, you take it.
Yeah, and then the other thing with Shedeur, I think people, um, well, I'll kind of bring it up, like just the fan reaction on social media. Even at the game, like in the city of Cleveland, just a fan reaction. It's been amazing to watch, man. And I just think from the start, I just thought the decision to start Shedeur Sanders is more than just like, is he your best option at quarterback? To me, it's also about selling tickets. He's a big name. Whether you like to admit it or not, like Shedeur Sanders is going to get treated differently than any other quarterback out there. And I'm looking forward to more Shedeur Sanders on the field, man.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. You know what I'm looking forward to on Thanksgiving, Kush?
What's that?
Well, one, the food. Love food. Love Thanksgiving food. It's once a year that I get to eat all of these kinds of things, like green bean casserole, sweet potato casserole, stuffing, like all these things that you eat. Well, you can eat too on Underdog Fantasy. You can win some money this year. This Thanksgiving, it's that time again. It's Feast Week back on Underdog from November 26th through November 30th. Check the app daily for special promos. You can win up to like 30, 40, 50 times boosts on your picks with Underdog Fantasy using our promo code PATNFL. We've got a lot of fun games. Packers, Lions, Chiefs, Cowboys, Bengals, Ravens on Thanksgiving. I'm looking at Dak Prescott against that Chiefs defense. I don't know if it's good. It could be good. It could be bad. I'm going to hit the higher than on touchdowns for him. And then I'm also going to hit the higher than on receiving yards for George Pickens, who's, I think, second in the NFL right now. He's just a machine. George Pickens, great trade for the Cowboys. I'm going to hit the higher than on receiving yards for him. Put those together with another pick from a different game, and you can win up to 5,000 times your money with Underdog Fantasy using our promo code PATNFL. Play your first $5 and get $100 in bonus entries using our promo code PATNFL. Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 and older in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPEline at 1-877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. Win some money with Underdog Fantasy this week, Thanksgiving. All the boosts are going to be happening. There's going to be daily promotions starting on the 26th of November through the 30th of November. So all of Thanksgiving weekend with college football rivalry week, You got all the NFL games on Thursday. You got NFL games on Friday, all day Sunday, and Monday Night Football. Win some money with us on Underdog Fantasy using promo code PATNFL. Play your first $5, get $100 in bonus entries with our promo code PATNFL. Thank you for sponsoring this episode of Underdog Fantasy. Let's win some money together this season. But back to week 12, I guess. Back to week 12. We had a lot of good games. There was a lot of overtime games. It was chaotic in every way, shape, or form. There was game winners. The next game we're going to talk about, though, is the big hour week. They go down 21-0 in the first quarter, maybe. And I don't know how they clawed their way back into that game, but Eagles fans were talking all sorts of shit online. It's 21-0. The Cowgirls are out, like all these kinds of things. And all of a sudden, Dak Prescott, George Pickens, all these guys just start racking up the yards, racking up some touchdowns. What a comeback, 24-21. They kicked the field goal with no time left on the clock. There's a walk-off field goal. The punts, the fumbles, all kinds of chaos happened later in that game. What do you think of the Cowboys-Eagles game?
Man, I was actually out with a couple friends. I was out with our boy Junior yesterday in the afternoon. You know, we're watching this Eagles and Cowboys game. The Cowboys are getting shellacked 21-0, and it was time for me to go. You know, I had to go home. It was Sunday. Got to get some good rest in before the start of the week. So I go
Sure.
home. 15 minutes later, I'm like, you know what? Let me turn on this game, and it's a tie game. 21-21 tie game. I'm like, man, what happened? And you know, we've been talking about this Philadelphia Eagles team all year long, and I tweeted it out yesterday, and I was like, the Eagles haven't played up to par all season, and you know, against such an unlikely team in the Cowboys, it finally came back to bite them in the ass. I mean, they were down to the Rams, and somehow they came back against the Rams early in the season. They did lose to the Broncos, and you know, they lost to the Giants earlier in the season. And so we've all been trying to figure out who are the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think after this game, for me, it became more unclear than ever. I mean, I don't know if they're that team with all the talent in the world, with a very talented roster, or if they're that team that is going to have like games like this. And I think the offensive coordinator situation is kind of starting to become a problem because uh, Kevin Patullo is this guy, like he's the Nick Sirianni guy from when they were back with the Indianapolis Colts, right? And so
Yeah.
they like to use a lot of motions to get guys open, and they've always done that going back to the Colts days, and I'm just not seeing it from this offense this season. I don't know
No,
why they're not doing it. Maybe it's because the receiver situation. They want to satisfy the receivers. They I guess they trust Saquon Barkley without having to do all that stuff just because they have a lot of talent. But I don't know. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing because we look at the Eagles and every week it's like they can run the hell out of the ball or they can pass the hell out of the ball, but they can't do both. For whatever reason, I don't understand. Like Jalen Hurts had 289 yards last on Sunday, only took one sack and threw a touchdown to AJ Brown. AJ Brown had 110, 8 catches. Devontae Smith had 6 for 89, like averaging almost 14 yards per catch there. Both of them 14.8 and 13.8. So like that's good. That's what you want. You need your star receivers to get into the game and make some big plays. AJ Brown catches his first touchdown in what seems like months at this point. Like he was so excited. Did the Michael Irvin like cranking the horn at the the University of Miami games, doing that. It's just like vibes were good in the first quarter. But then we mentioned the Cowboys defense. We're like, they might be okay. They might be fine. Like their secondary is not great. Their linebacker core isn't great, but their defensive line is starting to come on a little bit. No Micah Parsons, but they added Quinnen Williams. We're like, that's going to help their run game out. The Eagles had 63 rushing yards yesterday. That's not something that they normally do. Obviously, Jalen Hurts had his 2 touchdowns, the tush push and all that kind of stuff. He only had 33 yards. Saquon Barkley only had 22 yards on 10 carries. So they didn't even try to give him the ball when they were up 21-0. It's just like, it doesn't make any sense what's wrong with the Eagles. And then good for the Cowboys. I mean, Dak Prescott, hell of a game, 354 yards, 2 touchdowns. Javonte had 20 for 87 on the ground. It's like a fine game. And then George Pickens, 9 for 146. CeeDee Lamb dropped like every pass imaginable, but still had 4 for 75. Jake Ferguson, 5 for 60. Kevontae Turpin had a 48-yard catch. Like, he spread the wealth around, but you knew he was going to George Pickens at the end of the day, and he's throwing it deep and just seeing what happens. Like if you told Cowboys fans at the beginning of the season, like, "Hey, you're trading Micah Parsons, but you just got George Pickens. You're going to get Quinnen Williams at the end of the day. This team's going to be good if you and you might have freed up a little bit more money outside of signing Micah Parsons, and now you can sign George Pickens in the offseason or franchise tag him or whatever it is. Like they're not in a bad situation for next year, and they're definitely not out of it just yet in the NFC playoffs so far. So credit to the Cowboys. Big comeback, 21 nothing. It's crazy. It's tied for the biggest comeback in Cowboys history, which is awesome. And then the Eagles are the second most confusing team in the league because the Falcons will always near and dear to our hearts. They're the most confusing team in the league, but the Eagles are a close second.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up George Pickens earlier. I mean, what a move for the Cowboys. We all love to criticize Jerry Jones for everything under the sun, but I'm gonna give him credit for that one. It was a big move, and he's numbers wise, he's one of the best receivers in the league right now.
It's insane. He's on him and JSN are on pace for like 1900 yards. I think JSN's on pace for more than that. Maybe hitting about 2,000 this year, which is insane. It's about time that somebody hit that with the extra game. But George Pickens is one of two receivers over 1,000 yards this season. He had 146 last night. So like, what a trade! It turned out really well for the Cowboys. When they made the trade, I was just like, man, I don't know. Like, sure, try it
When
out.
they made that move, I told our boy Junior, I was like, this is a great move. I know a lot of people are kind of criticizing it because of his attitude issues. I would say, all that stuff,
Yeah,
but I feel like he's done a good job of keeping that stuff in check for this year. Maybe because it's a contract year for him. I don't know, but you can't argue with the production. I mean, he's been one of the best receivers in the league, and um, he's made Dak Prescott look really, really good.
yeah. And did you see George Pickens's high school coach take credit for George Pickens
I
yesterday
didn't,
on Twitter?
I didn't see that, but
So basically, the coach was like, "Yeah, you missed a bunch of meetings on game week one time, so I benched him." And ever since then, he's been great. I'm just like, well, no, it's not been the case. Like he had problems at Georgia, he's had problems in Pittsburgh. Like this is just who George Pickens is, and he had a problem last week. He missed, or he didn't go. He had a curfew or whatever he probably missed, and they benched him for the first drive of the game and all that kind of stuff. It's like, look, man, George Pickens is really good, and you're gonna have to deal with all the other shit off of the field with George Pickens, or even on the field at sometimes. And it's just something you take, especially if he's going to potentially lead the league in receiving yards this year. So huge win for the Cowboys. Great win against the Eagles. We called a Cowboys win, and it was looking horrible in the first quarter. I was like, oh boy, we were really wrong. The Eagles kind of turned it on. They're wearing the Kelly Greens. It looked great on TV. And all of a sudden, Cowboys stormed all the way back. And Brandon Aubrey walk-off field goal. So good for the Cowboys. They're not dead yet. They're 5-5-1. They still need some help. I know the NFC South is pretty much doo-doo birds at this point. So you only got to worry about really one team. The NFC West, you're going to get a lot of teams. You kind of need the 49ers to fall out of it. And then, um, yeah, the NFC North is kind of interesting too because the Steelers are still technically in it, or the Bears are in it. The Vikings are not really in it anymore. The Packers are definitely in it. So it's going to be an uphill battle for the Cowboys to make the playoffs, but they're still technically in it. So
yeah,
good for
there's
them.
a lot of tight races going on in both conferences. We brought this up pretty much every week. It just this season, the parity in the league has been one of like I can't remember a season where it's been this tight all the way around. Like even the number one teams in each conference, you can kind of make a case for the Colts at least where they're kind of beatable, and on the other side with the Rams in the NFC, they're a two-loss team, but I think they're beatable too. So this whole season has been so fun.
Yeah, it's been incredible. Speaking of the Rams, though, Rams Bucks last night, 34-7. Rams kind of just ran away with that one in the first half, like immediately. I mean, but the biggest news there is that Baker Mayfield is hurt. Only threw 19 passes, 41 yards, touchdown, and two picks. It's a sprained AC joint, I believe, is what it is, in his left arm, which is not great because you kind of need both arms to throw a football, which is crazy when you really only use one. But Baker's hurt. My dreams, my baby Bucks are dead. I think that's it for them. Like if we don't have Baker the rest of the season, I'm not trusting Teddy Two Gloves to do anything. He was coaching high school football last year, and then he gets suspended from that for buying all the equipment and redoing the field and all that kind of stuff with his own money, which I think is stupid. But whatever. Welcome back, Teddy Two Gloves. But the Rams are the most complete team in the NFC. Their defense is really good. Their offense is really good. Their special teams is great. Like they score almost every time in the red zone. Once they get in the red zone, it's a touchdown almost every single time. They didn't even have to run the ball yesterday. Only 19 carries for 70 yards between Williams and Corum. But Matt Stafford, 273 yards, 3 touchdowns. I think he's at 30 touchdowns and 2 picks. Welcome back, Nick Foles.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. 30 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I just got done saying how, the parity in the league has been amazing. The Rams looked really, really, really good right now. I mean, uh, yeah, they dominated the Bucks. It sucks for the Bucks. Baker's out. Do we know how long he's going to be out?
I have no idea, but I would assume with the sprained AC joint, like we probably just don't see him
Yeah.
unless he comes back for the playoffs, which is possible. You just throw in whatever those the Toradol shots and all that kind of stuff in your shoulder, and just kind of hope and pray that you don't
Yeah.
get hit. But outside of that, I don't know how likely it is that he comes back with only 6 weeks left in the season.
Yeah, and that being said, the Bucks are probably dead, which makes the NFC South that much more interesting. With the
Panthers.
Panthers kind of climbing up, But yeah, as far as the Rams, they've looked really good, and the only really team that has kind of almost beat them is the Texans week 1 and the Seahawks. I mean, those are really the only two teams, and then the 49ers did get one on them. So, I mean,
They threw that one away though.
yeah,
Kyron Williams threw that one away.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, both of these conferences are going to be very, very interesting as far as like not just seeding, but whichever teams get into playoffs. Like these matchups are going to be good.
Yeah, I think last year on this show, Play Action Takes with Garrett and Noah, I called Matt Stafford winning MVP last year. So never wrong, just early. I'm back. It's just a year or two early, but Matt Stafford potentially getting his first MVP. He's only been in the top 10 of MVP voting once in his career, which is crazy. So credit to the Rams. They're probably the most complete team in the NFC, maybe the most complete team in the NFL. Because I'm like the Patriots just lost half of their offensive line. They're all
Yeah.
gone. Will Campbell's gone for a while. So I'm going to trust the Rams over everyone right now. Come playoff time, anything can happen. But the last game before we get out of here, Chiefs, Colts. We said it. I said it in the Discord. I was like, I think Texans fans should just root for the Colts. And look, you're not going to have a home playoff game, but you can get the Chiefs out of there. Now the Chiefs are still very much alive. 23-20, big comeback. The Colts could not stop Kareem Hunt on the ground at all. 30 carries for 104 yards and a touchdown. It's not a ton of yards, but he was getting first downs at points when you needed it, and he got that touchdown later in the game to get it close. And then, yeah, they go to OT, and the Colts just could not move the ball. Jonathan Taylor could not run the ball. He only had 58 yards on the ground, which is shocking. Only 2 catches for 8 yards. Daniel Jones, 181 yards and 2 touchdowns. But the Chiefs are alive. Rashee Rice was just going all over the place, 8 for 141. Xavier Worthy was making big catches. Like every time the Chiefs needed a big play in the second half, they were getting it. And every time the Colts needed a first down, they were not getting it, especially in the second half. So tough one for the Colts, but good for the Chiefs. They're still alive. And I'm tired of having to talk about the Chiefs for like 6 years at this point. So would have really liked the Colts to just go ahead and put them under 500, which would have been nice. But what do you think about this game?
Yeah, man. I wish I could say that I was surprised, but I'm not. The the Chiefs have a knack for winning these kind of games when their back is against the wall like this. As far as the Colts, I'm not gonna say fraud watch on the Colts yet. We'll see what happens in the next couple games. But if you are a Colts hater right now, I mean you have to be bumping your chest right now because it was a big game against a important opponent, and they were up 20-9 and they lost that game. So
Yeah, I think the only good team that the Colts have beaten this season is the Broncos, like in 29-28, and the Broncos kind of poo-pooed that one away. They lost to the Steelers, which is not a good team to lose to. And then they've lost to the Rams and the Chiefs, which I can respect at the end of the day. The Rams are probably the most complete team in the NFL, like we were just saying. And then the Chiefs, like they're still the Chiefs at the end of the day. They still have Patrick Mahomes. They're still going to be able to throw the ball. They're still going to be able to just figure out how to win games. And y'all kind of figured out how to lose it. You had the lead going into the second half, and all you had to do is score like one more time in the second half, and that game's over. They allowed 11 points in the fourth quarter, and then obviously lose in overtime. So a tough one for the Colts, but Chiefs very much still alive. They're still in the race. It is what it is. We just got to keep talking about the Chiefs, I guess.
Yeah, and then for the Chiefs, an important injury news to note: Trey Smith has a high ankle sprain on one or both ankles, I think. So
That's
they
tough.
said he's definitely not playing next week. So that's
Interesting.
an injury to watch. I think um, the Texans play them in 2 weeks, uh, and the Colts face the Texans next week. So for for the Colts, like they have some important games coming up. If they get on a little losing streak, that division is wide open. The Jaguars, they had a crazy win against the Cardinals. They're still alive to win the division, and you know, if I believe in miracles, which I kind of do, then the Texans might still be in it too. I don't know what's going to happen with this AFC South right now.
It's a weird division because it's just like I don't know how good any of these teams are. I know the Texans defense is the best in the league, and outside of that, and Jonathan Taylor is the best running back in the league. Outside of that, I have no faith in this division. It's just so strange to look at it. It's not like the NFC South where they're all garbage. It's just they're all strange and don't really win the big games when you want them to, and then they win the games you don't expect them to. It's a strange division for sure. But week 12 was incredible. The Patriots had a close one. The Bears and Steelers game was incredible. The Giants and Lions game was crazy. Went to OT. Seahawks Titans was a game in the second half somehow, even though the Seahawks just like scored the first 30 points of the game and then they just let up 24 for some reason. That one was crazy. Colts Chiefs go to OT. Um, the Jags Cards went to OT. You had a walk off in the Cowboys Eagles game, and then you had some kind of poo poo games to end that slate. But then you got Panthers 49ers tonight. So incredible week. And every time we say it's a bad slate, it ends up being crazy. You have 3 OT games and a walk off field goal. That's good enough for me, and I will take that because we were expecting that to happen because we said it was a bad slate.
Before we wrap things up, how do we feel about this 49ers Panthers matchup? Because it's an important game for the NFC South, and it's an important game for the NFC West too. And
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go Panthers in this game. I think Bryce Young had that prime time moment yet? I don't think so in his career. Tonight might be the night.
Has he played in prime time yet?
That's a great question. I mean, the Panthers have sucked since he's been there. So they're finally getting some primetime games this season in year 3 for him, and I expect Bryce Young to come out and not have a crazy great game, but I think he'll have a good game, and I think they'll be in a position to where things might get a little spicy in the NFC South after tonight.
Yeah, the Panthers are just a good position because they can lose this game and still end up winning the division. I think the 49ers are not necessarily in must-win territory, but it's pretty damn close to a must-win game for them. They're sitting at what, 7 wins, so they're a little bit behind everybody else. They're 7-4. You kind of needed the Seahawks to lose yesterday. You needed the Rams to lose yesterday to still really have a good shot at it, but now you're kind of climbing an uphill battle. So I think the 49ers have a must-win game, and the Panthers can lose it. But Bryce Young hasn't passed for like more than 150 yards in several weeks. So the 49ers more than the Panthers. Obviously, the 49ers have all this off-the-field drama with Brandon Ayuk, who's back soon, and yeah, they just 2026 guaranteed money. It's all very strange with the 49ers. I don't know what to think about them, but they kind of need to win this game more than the Panthers, so I would expect them to win it because the Panthers can lose this one and still end up winning the division. They're tied right now with the 49ers before tonight's game, and then if they win, they'll be at the top of the division. They might have a home playoff game. It's just like
How insane is that?
so stupid. But that'll do it for week 12. Week 12 recap was a lot of fun. Had a great slate. Had a lot of really fun games there and some crazy moments and stuff. So shout out to your Texans for winning the game. Shout out to my Dolphins for not losing this week. They were on a bye week, so that was fun. Got to enjoy an NFL Sunday without any anger. That was great. I enjoyed that. But that'll do it for Week 12 recap for Play Action Takes, HOPELine Media's NFL podcast, brought to you by Zing Zang, America's #1 Bloody Mary mix. We've been zanging responsibly all season long. Have some Zing Zang on Sunday. Thanksgiving is on Thursday. Wake up, get you a Zing Zang before the game start. It'll be a great time. Zang responsibly all season long. And shout out to Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code PATNFL when you sign up. Play your first $5, get $100 in bonus entries when you use our promo code PATNFL. Win some money with Underdog and us. Underdog Fantasy using promo code PATNFL. And we'll be back very, very soon with another episode of Play Action Takes, HOPELine Media's NFL podcast.